All right, welcome to the show.
Hey everybody, I'm Lex.
I'm Jordan at PDQ.com.
Autodesk, Revit. I like to Revit.
I'm glad we're doing Revit because the chat has been a lot of people talking about how much they hate trying to get this to work with Revit. So hopefully we can remove that pain point.
Yeah, I would love to. Couple of things. First, I need to introduce, we have a very special guest. I mean, Darren, there you are, buddy. This is Darren. He is I would say ours because we own him now, right? We own you, Darren?
We did call dibs.
We called dibs. Darren was a presenter and a speaker at Autodesk University in 2019, just before the pandemic. Yeah, and so he's been helping me with this deployment, and hopefully he'll be helping us with the Q&A portion of this because he has way more experience than I do. So any thoughts you want to bring up? Anything you want to say, Darren?
Just thanks for having me here.
Insightful.
No.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Okay. First thing to discuss when it comes to Autodesk, they've changed the install. I mean, I'm pretty sure you all know this. Install has been, I would like to say, I think they've done a pretty good job of making custom deployments easier. Darren, any thoughts on that in regards to how the new process works?
Yeah, so the big change is like they kind of create this whole little package for you, and so the switching and all those things that we used to struggle with, that's all like built in now. So, which was super helpful because not everybody knew about switches, or they had challenges with which ones they should use. So now you can just.
It's kind of like the Office customization tool, yeah.
Yeah.
A bit like that.
In the chat, Indy says, Elias, we're hoping to change your tune by the end of the webcast. That hopefully it's all smooth sailing for you from here on out.
Well, we'll see. All right. I have brought up. We logged into Autodesk as Pi. I'm just kidding. We're logged in. We went and bought Revit because that's what we decided to buy. So again, here at my product and services, we're going to go and we're going to more actions. And we're going to make a custom install or deployment. There we go. All right, you guys see that? Where there's Revit, 3 dots, custom installer deployment. I'm going to take you here. Now, I did this earlier today. I mean, like at 4 in the morning because I couldn't sleep. And the reason I did that is because this is going to be kind of like a Julia Childs thing, right? We're going to prep the turkey. We're going to whatever. I'm going to stick it in the oven. And after I'm done sticking it in the oven, I'm going to pull it out because this does take some time. So I'll show you the process to get there. We'll let the process run.
What I was trying to say is we have it pre-installed on one instance, so we don't have to wait for the install.
We have to wait for the custom. Yes, thank you. All right. So there's the one I did this morning. We're going to create a new one. Now, again, you're going to have your list of products that are available here. The thing I want to bring up about this is, obviously, I have Revit. Now, when Darren and I were working, Darren, I think, has everything possible that Autodesk has to offer. And Darren, what was your statement to me when we were doing this originally was?
You kind of want to do it one per deployment, because if you try to put all of them together, it's just going to take you like all day.
So again, if you got AutoCAD and Revit and a bunch, right? You want to do one deployment per. So in this case, we would just pick Revit. You've probably seen your list of software here, so do one install package per.
I think he said he had 38.
Oh, he had a ton. All I know is like, ooh, how big would that file be? All right. So just to make this a little more easy to read, I hope. Okay. So we're going to install the latest version. You have options. Obviously, you can go with the specific version. We're going to jump. I'm going to roll this over here so we can see this a little better. To customizations. Now, a lot of you and a lot of customers are going to have specific paths that they want to fill in here for where you store your Autodesk files and templates and that kind of thing. You guys have all seen me type. And Darren, when we were working together, I'm like, dude, if I have to change all those every time there's an update,
we lost Darren.
Yeah, he just disconnected. I heard
Darren just disappeared. Well, anywho, he was telling me, he goes, look, just take the defaults here because we can use an INI file and just keep it uniform every single time when you do the package. So again, I'm going to keep the defaults at this point. Now, optional components. Obviously, we're going to keep everything, but you notice right here, you got all these different languages. I'm going to keep the language I'm best at, which would be Chinese. I'm just kidding. English. Jordan, do you see yours in here?
Well, I'm looking for obscene English.
Obscene, profanity.
I'm very good
U.S.
at that.
style. Is that it?
I don't see it in there.
Again, you could push this out. It's just, how did we call it the other day? Bloatware. It will just bloat your package, and unless you have a compelling reason, I would just stick with the one essential content that you need.
I'd say unless you have computers in a region where they're going to be looking at that language pack, I probably wouldn't bother adding it.
Absolutely.
But they all say essential.
Well, they are.
Okay.
When you need them. Okay. The Revit server. Now, again, I think Darren said if you're using this, it could be something somewhat archaic, I guess. But this is where you would put your, right here. There's the IP. That's where you put the name of the IP of your server, and that's internal, your internal server. So make sure that you get the right IP address in there. And then if you had a custom INI file, you could put it here. Again, we're going to do it after the fact. And this point, we're going to go to, I'm going to minimize that so we can see everything we're working on here. I'm going to go to, excuse me, extensions. Sorry, can't minimize that. Now, these again are the extensions you can add. And again, these, the nice thing is, depending on what you have checked over here, which is Revit, it just shows only the Revit or the AutoCAD specific ones.
Well, that's what kind of blew my, there's that many for just Revit. So if you had the 38 that Darren said he had, that would just be an unwieldy list.
You know, the interesting thing, I think I picked robot structural and then just issues because I have issues this morning.
You do have issues. It's nice of him to add that in.
It's nice to add my issues. Fine, we'll add. I'm having issues, guys. Again, check these, right? The more you add, obviously, the bigger your install file is going to be. And when I kick this off, I'm going to have you guess how big this is going to end up.
Okay.
It was impressive. And then again, finally,
the dry run.
Dry run? Yeah, oh, that's right. You did see this. Here's your content. Once again, Jordan would be looking for English Profanity Edition. I'm just going to go with English content for Revit 2022. And that pretty much exhausts your list of what you can select here. And so at this point, I'm going to hit next. Now, here you can have the option to install or deploy. Now, I already hit deploy earlier, so it kept my previous selection. If you do an install now, it will try to install it on your machine, or I believe it'll make an exe that will install for you. You want a deployment, okay? Now, deployment image path. Actually, we probably ought to start up here with the package name. I'm going to call this Revit 2 because I already did Revit 1, right? Revit 2. I'm not going to put a description in there. Deployment path. Okay, this, I went and pulled mine from the repository in PDQ deploy. The thing, when I did it this morning, I used the public path, the whole thing there. It had some issues with it, so I actually, when I did it, I had to go back and use the actual path here. And I'm going to copy this because you've all seen me type. And I'm going to do Revit 2 this time just because we've already got Revit 1, okay?
So we have in the chat,
Yeah.
It says the deployment path has to be empty or it fails. But you said you've done it with the path in there?
Mm-hmm. Oh, deployment
That's how I
path.
do mine.
Oops, sorry. I'm in the wrong thing. Installation path. No, this is the image path. This is where the image goes.
Image.
This is the image.
So I'd be curious if Darren...
Darren,
has
you on there, man? Can you clarify that for us?
Yeah. So
That's where the image ends up,
path-
right?
Yeah, that's where you want the image to live on your, either you're putting it on your repository or you're putting it on a server somewhere that you're accessing.
Okay, so that's not for the local machine where it installs.
Yeah.
That's where it saves on your machine.
I think this is the installation path you may be talking about. That I wouldn't mess with. I mean, Darren, any thoughts on messing with that one?
I typically do not mess with that unless your company has some kind of different standards.
Compelling reason to do that. Now, what you do need to do is make sure you use symbolic links because you will be moving this around. You're going to be deploying it. And so using symbolic links allows this to be deployed. Correct, Aaron?
That is correct. That's a huge help. We use it quite often just because we don't have unlimited space. So we tend to move things from one drive to another.
I like it. All right. I agree with the terms of use.
So
you should go ahead, man.
We read the terms of use
Yes.
for all 5 of our test runs, so we're going to skip it on the 6th go, but we've read the complete thing.
Yeah, we did. Sure, man. Okay. somewhere in there it says you're going to be somebody's towel boy. Probably mine. Okay, at this point we're going to make the download. Okay, so I'm going to hit download, and it should give us a nice exe file. It's fairly small. There it is, 12 megabytes. I'm just going to open when done. Okay, here's the Julia Childs portion of things. We'll watch that thing kick up momentarily here.
Boy, we hope so.
Well, there it's straight at Revit 2. Okay, opening when complete. Am I a little early on this? Could it be? Is it going to be? There it is. I think we got it.
It takes a moment.
Is there? Okay.
When this opens up, this is, there it is. Okay, so this is building that custom image for the deployment. And this does not take a short amount of time. Hence, the Julia Childs portion of things is what we do. So this is going to go ahead and build that image and that. I guess before we get into that, do we want to take any questions? And by we, I mean Darren.
Yeah, we can go ahead and throw a question up there. Hey guys, I am using Laps to deploy my Autodesk products. Because I'm installing with my local user, I have to push the whole deployment image to my machines. Is there a better alternative to this? Sincerely, Woe T Pro.
I've got a thought on this, and Darren, please jump in if you can clarify this any better. The way we're going to end up doing it today should help you. I don't know, Darren, if he's using Laps, we're going to be installing as a domain admin.
That's how we install, yes. But to be honest, I don't have a whole lot of experience with the Laps, so I can't really speak to that.
We'll end up talking about a caveat and why we have to use a domain admin when we're building the package. So hopefully that'll help you, but since Darren hasn't had experience with Laps, and I will definitely defer to Darren on that. I don't know how to answer that yet. Watch, though, I'll show you a way that it does happen to work for us and Darren. So
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have any experience with local. So.
yeah, that's true. All right, so we're going to let that run. What it is going to do, you'll notice if you go to my repository here, I've got Revit and Revit 2 now. We're going to look at Revit because I did that earlier. It is going to create your image file. Oh, by the way, you want to guess how big this bad boy is?
12 megabytes.
12 megabytes, please. Check it out.
I was way off.
That's almost, what's 15 gig?
I was close on relative scale.
Yeah, you were not close at all. Hey, Darren, any of on the ones you've got, what's the biggest install you've had to build for a single package so far?
I think the biggest was, I think it is Revit. Yeah, from an Autodesk standpoint, yes. I think Revit's the largest one that I deal with.
Okay, so obviously
3D Max is close.
3D Max is close. Obviously, we're not going to want to trade pushing this down. We're going to want to try and do a pull style install. And the nice thing about the customization tool is it has built this install Revit batch file. Let's see if I can open this without accidentally running it like I did last time.
So that's why it takes so long to run then, because it is making 15 gig.
It's building
file.
a 15 gig install image, yeah.
It makes sense to me now because I saw how long it took for a 12 meg file. I'm like, this is
nothing.
Terrible.
This is nothing. All right, so here's the thing, right? We got some options here. Install deployment with basic UI, which is great if you don't want to deploy it. The other is here, install deployment silently. You're going to want to clear out this REM statement. Make sure you don't do too many. We did this yesterday.
Only do one.
Yeah.
And I did find out if you don't rem the one above it, it does this how many times, Darren? Twice? We sat and watched this thing do it twice because I forgot to rem out.
But
and
one of them
only have one.
So there you go. So there is our batch file. Let me save that bad boy.
What is that string on the top, the CHCP?
CHCP, Darren, what is that?
I believe it runs back to that symbolic
Nomenclature.
Yes.
So
when it calls back to wherever your deployment is, I believe that's what it's there for.
Okay. The magic in the background. There you go.
Yeah, the voodoo magic.
The voodoo magic. I like it. All right. So we have our image We got our log, we got our batch file we just modified. And now we're going to build a package for this. Now, there's two ways to do this. There's my way and then there's Darren's way. So you probably want to go with, well, Darren's way. I'm just kidding. They both work. I'll show you both methods. The first method, obviously, you're going to call this name it, right? That was Darren's method. Actually putting a name on it. Just kidding,
It's a
Darren.
nice improvement.
Yeah, I'm getting there. I used an install step, okay? And from the install step, okay, I go into the install file, or I go grab that batch file from the repository, which is, let me go grab that.
It's open on the bottom if you want to just copy the path.
Nope, I like clicking, man.
Okay.
Have you ever, you've seen me type?
I'm not going to tell you how to do.
That's right.
Things.
You
You're in
don't
charge.
tell me how to do my job unless I do it wrong. All right, grab your batch file. Nice thing with the install step, again, install steps can run a lot of things more than just MSIs and EXEs, guys. There it is. This is what is going to get run on the end user's machine, right down there. Okay. Success codes. Okay. Now, before we talk success codes, let's just show you, Darren. Let's just do it the way you do it, man. Which is you prefer to do a command step, right?
That's how I do it, yeah.
So-
And then I just click the insert batch and drop it in.
Again, if you're like me, you end up clicking a lot to go find your stuff. With that, though, so documents.
I'm just glad you didn't copy the path.
The first time I did it, so I could do it twice. Shut up already. You do it your way. Okay, check this out, though. Here's the difference in the way. So, Darren, we got to add success codes here.
Yeah, I have, I use 0, 1641, and 3010.
30,
3010. Yep.
I'm almost at 30, 10. All right, now, here's the thing. 0, 16, 30, 10, and we added an extra one on the install step. Basically, I forget what they are, but pretty standard. Like it probably needs a reboot, and the deployment's finished successfully. But either one of these are going to work, right? Darren's method calls the batch file. So
Yeah. So the only if you are using the command line, you have to manually add the success codes. Otherwise, you should be good to go with the install step.
absolutely. Now there's a couple more things to think about, right? The caveats and all this. Darren, what have you found about the how proud Autodesk is of their splash screen, man?
Very annoying.
Very annoying. How do we get past it? I
so-
mean, if we don't deal with that splash screen, it ends up stalling your install, correct?
Yes, that is correct. So you have to deploy as an interactive, especially because now that the switches are inside of the batch file, right? So if you try to do it as a non-interactive, basically it'll hang. The splash screen will be there, but you can't see it.
So as long as it's deploy interactive, splash screen will show up for nobody.
For nobody. Yeah.
It'll install, not a problem.
So I've been following the chat, and they say for a lot of them, for Revit especially, they have the first step before it does the install is to kill the process. Mm-hmm. Is that something we don't do that on here? Is that just something we don't normally do, or is this because it's a clean install?
This is
That's more so that it doesn't interact with it, because if Revit is running, it can cause problems. So if you want a clean install, you really want it to be shut down. I've kind of done some of the full contact IT, as you call it. I have installed it while people were on it, but
Was it
sometimes makes a
successful?
mess. It's hit or miss.
hit or miss. Okay, so we
Yeah,
should be putting a task kill in there.
Yeah,
Or making sure we reboot it first and then do a run and install it in the evenings.
do an evening. Yeah,
An
do
evening?
it when they're not there.
What?
You'll really irritate your friends, because especially the size of those files, and they'll be right in the middle of something, and boo, it goes away, and
Heaven forbid you
I've been
lose your
working for
work,
3
right?
hours. Oh yeah, it's
Okay.
not a good. Then you get a mob that shows up at you.
Okay, so that kind of brings up another question, right? If this was an upgrade, right, there is a point where this is going to want to copy your files, right? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, like more so AutoCAD than Revit. So AutoCAD, there's a option like for our company. we don't quote unquote use profiles or some of that other stuff. We have all of our customization done through a Lisp routine. So what I do is I've added a registry that just basically says we've already done all that. So it kind of wipes the registry, so it doesn't ask that when we do our install. So it saves our users a bunch of time. And
again, that's something to consider. Yeah.
Let's hit a question sometime, Lex.
Yeah. Let's hit a question, and then Jordan had a comment from the comments, I guess.
Yep.
All right.
Hey guys, my package is hanging with Process Manager.exe. File is called by install process and triggers the open file security warning. The source is in the repository and using the deploy user. Help! Paul J.
Process Manager.
It almost sounds like the deploy user may not have enough permissions.
But even if you do the deploy user, it should be running it as the local system.
The local logged in user,
Logged
which
in user.
is your deploy user at that point if you're doing it.
Yeah.
Well, it depends. So like when we were first doing it, we were putting in those credentials, but a logged in user may not have permissions to their local machine.
Yeah.
And that's a common practice. So you kind of have to always go up the level.
Yeah. Make sure what you're deploying with, and do it deploy user interactive as opposed to logged in user, I guess.
Yeah, so I guess maybe try a test run with one user with elevated permissions and see if that works. And if you get the same error, then I'd definitely open up a ticket. We could take a look what might be causing that.
And just, if you can show my screen again right here, again, under options, guys, there's a difference between your deploy user and your logged on user, unless you are the logged on user. But, that's going to have permissions where that may not. So,
in the chat, it says someone had the same issue and it ended up being DFS.
Huh, DFS. Darren, you'd mentioned DFS in regards to your Autodesk installs. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes. I use it, but I've always had questions on it. So I ended up using variables. Just that way I could control. I knew where exactly the deployment was. We have like multiple locations, so the variables made it easier. It makes it a little more cumbersome as far as keeping track, but the reliability was there.
Good to know.
Okay, and Paul confirmed he also used a DFS, so this may be something like that. And then I believe, I'm sorry, I missed the name of it, but someone mentioned there's a forum on this already on the PDQ site where they, I guess, ran into this one. So hopefully that can get you through to this
over
one.
the hump, or at least, get you through there. All right, now I want to bring up one more thing. Earlier I said, I just stated the obvious. I can't type to save my life. So we made an INI file. Go ahead.
Real quick, can you click on the details so we can show the command file that we have for Indy? They said they had to reboot, so they missed that. So it's just the call, and then it's the Revit.bat.
Yeah, grab this insert bat file, hit that link, and that's where you're going to go. We'll do it again. Boom. There you go. Now we'll do it twice. So, all right. All right. We're not going to run this, but okay. Now, I did go in here, and Darren helped me out. We've got this really super cool INI file. I'm going to open this bad boy up. Darren, you've seen me type. I mean, you've seen it in person, man. It's as bad as it looks, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. So this INI file, again, it's going to set the colors. I mean, there's more than just the locations and stuff for things here. But the nice thing is, once we have this the way you want it, okay, it's nice, it's easy. We just copy it over the other INI file. Is that correct, Darren?
Yes, a very specific location.
Yeah, and it's a little different for each of your, deploy your packages, whether it's Autodesk or Revit or what is it, 3D modeling or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the 3D Max, yeah.
3D Max, yeah. So again, when you get this set up, make sure you note the location of it, and that's where you're going to put this, save this, and modify it. That's your master right there. All our PDQ, Revit templates, all the CAD work I've done in there. It's amazing.
Looks like I misunderstood
they all have
Indy.
their own little nuances.
Can me open that batch file again.
Open the batch file? Mm-hmm. You want the batch file opened?
Yep, and so it's just for someone that is actively trying to install Revit.
Oh, okay.
And he kind of missed this part, so we'll just go over one more time real quick. So by default, the REM was next to the silent deployment and not next to the basic UI, and all we did is swap places with that, so it would be a silent install with deploy.
That's correct. So again, it comes default with this one, the UI basic, right? Put a rem there, take the rem off right here, and should be good to go for your silent install. So Darren, I'm not going to deploy this today because obviously this is going to Julia Child's run for a very long time. Notice this is still, I think it may be done. Oh, it did finish. Took a while, but it did build the Revit 2 for us. Any other words of wisdom before we open the questions, Darren?
As far as like, depending on how many you have, the best time to do it is when staff's not there. That's probably the biggest thing. That's how I get to sleep at night.
Knowing the staff's not at work?
Knowing that they're not there and the PDQ is just running in the background, and I might have a couple 1-2 Tuesdays for crisis mode in the morning, but that's the big thing.
Should we take some questions, man?
Sure.
Okay.
All right. Hey, guys, Autodesk products don't like to install if other Autodesk apps are running. How do you detect if other apps are already open before the install? Or just attempt it and allow it to fail? Sincerely, Michael C.
Darren, we're going to have to defer to you on this one, man. But
Actually saw something in the chat. I'm sorry, I missed the name again, but someone said that they do a reboot beforehand. They give them a 10-minute warning, and then just when they're ready to do it, it reboots, and then they do the install after that to make sure nothing's running at that point.
I would definitely reboot it first. Darren?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we do. We just reboot them because then it really instills that they save their work. I am sure everyone there can attest to this. There is always somebody who leaves their machine on all night, right? and you have no idea where that stuff's supposed to be. But so if you communicate with them and say, hey, tonight we're doing this or that, you give them fair warning, and you just kind of reboot it, and then you won't have those issues.
I'm gonna disagree with the fair warning, Darren, but
it's the importance of process. If you say we're going to alert you these ways, and after this we're going to do it, if they come back angry, it's like, well, we followed the process. It's more to cover yourselves to not have to deal with it than help the user.
It's debatable. I just like doing full contact IT. Let's do the next question.
The legal thing.
Gentlemen, some updates from Autodesk will not increment the version number in the uninstall registry entry. It will show in the hotfixes. How do you set up PDQ inventory to identify system needing updates? Thanks, Paul J.
So this is how I would do it. I would build obviously the version number variable so that you can go in and change it and say anything less than and put your current version variable in there. In fact, let me just show this instead of talk about it, So again, you'd come into options, variables. I'd slap a new, Autodesk, Revit, whatever variable in here, okay? And then you're going to build your new dynamic collection. I'm just going to grab one of the other variables that we've got out there, right? But you'd say you go to application. Obviously, you'd value, your software Autodesk. But when you do your version comparison, make sure you do version comparisons. And I would say lower than, and then you'd go select your variable, assuming one of these was actually a version, you'd select that. And then all you'd have to do when the new version comes out, just change that variable, and it should give you what you're looking for.
So that's for the application itself. He said the uninstall string.
Oh, the uninstall string.
So I would have a similar thing. I just have version equals for your latest version, and then against that collection, you could run a registry scanner that looks at that to make sure the number in the registry matches, and you could get from that scanner a list of machines that maybe didn't update.
Excellent. Way to finish that answer, man.
So what you're saying is Jordan got the point for that. not that we're keeping track.
Trying to do the Jordan way.
Yes.
Gonna do the Jordan method. I was just getting you there so you knew. So you only had to do a little bit of work, not a lot of. Okay.
Question specifically for Darren. Do you have documentation regarding how you are using variables to manage deploying to multiple locations? Thanks in advance, Michael C.
I don't have any specific documentation, but I use collections heavily. So I literally kind of what they were showing. They will have what's out of date and what's in date as far as versioning, and then we'll have a schedule that just goes and calls whichever is in the collection and then runs the updates based on that.
I like that. Question we don't have to answer.
Those are the best ones.
Yeah.
I don't even want the point.
All right, 2 more questions to go. When using the install file as a step, do you need to run as deploy user interactive? Ed L.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, for either one of those, I would do the interactive.
Yes.
It's just weird where you don't actually have to interact, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I know.
don't
it's
like it.
counterintuitive.
Yes.
I want it silent, but I have to be interactive.
True. What else we got?
And so far, I think our final question, will you be covering Autodesk updates? And are.
Let's ask fate. Will we be? Yeah, I don't know. I honestly, I'd have to check with Darren because I don't do a lot of Autodesk here. So let me check with Darren and we'll figure out. Maybe we will.
Let me also, we have a kind of an addendum to a previous question
Sure.
about, he says, let me rephrase. The version does not change after update is applied. The hotfix section of Windows will show the update was installed. Can INV be configured to evaluate the hotfixes?
Yes.
You can do a scanner to look for a specific hotfix, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I've done that. Yeah, I've had to do that too. Thanks Autodesk. But yeah.
I love it.
And that was our final question.
So there wasn't a question next to it, but Darian was asking if we were going to make that INI file public. I believe that was...
It's I got to go through and make sure it's sanitized, guys, before we get it out there. What I would do is set one up that you like, go grab it from your stuff, and then you'll see how you've got it set and use that INI. But
Yes, that's the best way of doing it.
yeah, so mine will just make it look super cool and run way faster than yours ever will. I'm just kidding, guys. Well, hey, Darren, man, thank you so much for being the brains of this operation today.
Thanks for having me.
And you guys, I hope this was helpful. I think Autodesk University is coming up in a week or two, and
I think it's happening right now.
Is it happening right now?
now? Today's the last day.
The last day. See how
I believe today's the last day.
With that, guys, I appreciate. I'm Lex,
I'm Jordan, PDQ.com.
and that's Darren. See you guys later.